And we have Fight Club. So basically start with this dude named Jack. He's at this corporate company. He likes the finer things in life, I guess. When it comes to IKEA furniture and shit. I guess part of him is not feeling fulfilled in his life. So he has insomnia and he hasn't been able to sleep for the last 6 months. So his doctor recommends some groups. Some group he goes to is with people that had testicular cancer. But they're like focus groups, kind of like Alcohol Anonymous groups and things of that nature. And surprisingly, then going to these groups, it helps him cry. He's been able to get sleep. So he's been trying out a bunch of these different groups. This one girl walks into one of his groups by the name of Marla. He knows that she's just faking this shit too. But because of this, he's going back to his insomnia, not being able to get sleep. So the plan is he wants her to take different groups. He'll take 3 and she'll take 3, different days or whatever. So while he's on the plane doing another business venture or something like that, he meets this guy on the plane by the name of Tyler. Tyler says he's a businessman that sells soap. But what he doesn't know at the time is, this guy Tyler can use regular household products and a combination of soap to make nitroglycerin. Next thing you know, Jack gets back to his apartment. To his surprise, been completely blown up and is on fire. He gets to a payphone, he ends up calling Tyler, and they meet at a bar. They have their little conversations, and Tyler's like, look man, just ask me what you want to ask me. Say if you can stay with me. Then he challenges him to hit him as hard as he can. And then they get the beef and they got a fight. I guess they feel invigorated or some shit. Afterwards, they head on to Tyler's place. It's like this abandoned house. Nothing barely works in there except for the lights. There's no neighbors or anything. It's just this one little abandoned house. He ends up staying there. The more he's hanging around Tyler, the more he looks beat up when he's going back to work. His boss is tripping off him. While all this is going on, Tyler's setting up this thing called a Fight Club. And the first rule, we don't talk about Fight Club. After a while, it does become a group of people that belong in this Fight Club. A Fight Club is really just a part of the operation. He's really using these people to get certain odd jobs done. While this is going on, Jack gets a call from Marla. She's trying to figure out what's been going on because apparently Jack ain't been going to the groups lately. She was starting to get curious. Next thing you know, Jack wakes up the next day and Marla's coming down the steps. He's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Apparently Tyler's been smashing Marla. You got this one scene where Jack burns himself with chemicals after Tyler talks him into it. You know, you got the power to feel pain and all that. So they've been using this basement to host fight clubs. Then the owner of the restaurant comes down the steps and is like, what the fuck is this? Tyler tells him just to relax, man. We're just using the basement. We got permission from Frank. Lou's like, yeah, whatever. I don't give a damn if you get permission from Frank. Bottom line is, this is my establishment. Lou ends up beating the shit out of Tyler, but he's like, come on, I want some more. Then Tyler just back on Lou. He's like, hey, yo, you gonna let me use this fucking basement? And Lou agrees. It's not like they're using it for money or anything like that. It's just cause. Then Tyler gets the plan for all these homework assignments. What he's got everybody doing is getting all these chemicals for the soap. That's right, stuff for the nitroglycerin. Jack is starting to lose control. He gets back to work and he fucking snaps. The boss is threatening to fire him. And what he does is starts whipping his own ass. Then he's yelling at the boss like, hey, what are you doing? Stop this. Leave it alone. He's wiping some of his blood all over the boss. The police comes in and it looks like the boss was whipping Jack's ass. This was all a plan. Jack was owed a bunch of checks and the boss basically gave it to him as a funding for his endeavors. Whether it was for Fight Club or something else. They got a bunch of stuff running like clockwork out the house. So Tyler's got this project going called Project Mayhem. The thing is, Jack doesn't know fully about the project. And he's starting to get pissed off. This is one scene where Jack tests Tyler's testing Jack. And he asks him what he wants right before he dies. All his associates give answers in the car except for Jack. Then when he almost runs into a truck, he's just like, yo, fuck Maria, fuck Fight Club, all this shit. Tyler's like, yeah, embrace that shit. He lets go of the wheel, they end up crashing in another car. Fortunately, they all made it out. Now in between this, he gets a call from a detective. The detective tells Jack they found out what really happened at the house. It seems like certain ingredients were there when the house was blown up. Certain fatty tissues and soap products there. Oh shit. Combined to make nitroglycerin. So wait a minute, did Tyler blow up his fucking pad? Just to get him to live with him so they could start this whole venture? Now Jack's pissed off, he's starting to investigate some shit. Now we flip back to real time after the car accident. He wakes up back at the house and Tyler's gone. He gets downstairs, everything's running like clockwork. Now one of the guys he met at a testicular cancer groups or whatever like that, this guy's name's Bob. Bob is now part of Fight Club. Now apparently Tyler sent him out on a mission a while ago. Thing was the mission got messed up. They were supposed to blow up some piece of artwork. Police came to stop him. And unfortunately Bob got shot in his head during the process. The guys carried Bob back to the house, he's done deal dead as shit. Jack is fucking devastated. Basically they gotta bury him in the backyard in the garden. In between this time, Marla was coming back and forth and she's been pissed off at Jack. But it's like she's been fucking with Tyler. Why would she be mad at Jack? So it gets to a point where Jack can't find Tyler. Then he looks at all these plans that are set up on the wall. And they're actually for certain areas and certain buildings. He looks at the phone records to see where Tyler's been at. And he's flying all over the place trying to find him. I noticed that every time he's around people that are in Fight Club, they always call him Sir. They're always calling Jack Sir like he runs the whole shit. We all know Tyler's the one running the operation, right? Especially because he knows more about Project Mayhem than Jack does, right? He runs all these places, but he can't find Tyler. Then he goes to this one restaurant and talks to this cook. And the cook gives him some very strange information saying that Jack was already here. Or Tyler was. Then the cook calls him Tyler. Wait, what in all the fuck? He gets to one of the hotel rooms and gets on the phone and calls up Marla. Basically, Jack is asking Marla, have we ever had sex? He's like, dude, what kind of dumb question is that? She's like, look, I don't know what's going on with your Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde routine. So Jack's like, yeah, tell me what my name is. She's like, are you stupid? Your name is Tyler. That's right, it's Tyler. Basically, Jack is Tyler. Another Tyler that he knows is a figment of his imagination. He created this character. He's the one that created Project Mayhem. He's the one that created Fight Club. He was the one that beat up Lou in the basement. He's the one that's been fucking Marla. It's all been him. When we go back to look at the plans, he's the one that planted 10 bombs in 10 buildings that belong to corporate credit companies, and they go blow all them shits up. That's what Project Mayhem is all about. Scared of his own actions, the first thing he does is go back so he can talk to Marla, which at this point she don't have nothing to do with him. She meets him in a coffee shop and she's like, dude, there's something inherently wrong with you. She's like, there's a lot of good qualities about you, but bottom line is you're intolerable. And she thinks that you need some psychological help. But he thinks something bad is going to happen to her if she sticks around. So he gives her some money, stops a bus, and tells her to get on the bus and take off. Just don't go to any cities or nothing like that. Get into the outskirts. So Tyler thinks to himself, the only way I can stop this is if I turn myself in. He talks to a detective along force along with 3 other people. So while the one detective is looking up his story, these other 3 are surprisingly all part of Fight Club. And they're like, basically, we're going to cut your balls off. And they're saying to him, they told us anybody that tries to stop Project Mayhem, they got to be dealt with, including yourself, sir. But he turns to the tables and pull out a gun and tells them, get on the fucking ground, like, hey, you ain't stopping this shit. So he goes in one of the buildings and tries to break in. And he keeps seeing his alter ego every time he does it. So he gets to one of the vans, opens up the back door, and there's one of the bombs. He ends up defusing one of the bombs, and after that ends up having a fight with himself. Like literally, his imaginary alter ego is just tossing them all around all over the place. Next thing you know, he's sitting in a chair with a gun in his face. His alter ego's pointing the gun in his face, but really it's not even him. He actually is holding the gun in his hand. So Tyler says, fuck this, I'm gonna get rid of you once and for all. He points the gun at himself and shoots out the side of his neck. I'm like, what? His alter ego just collapses. Tyler somehow ends up getting back up. We find out that some of the people from Fight Club intercepted the bus that Marla was on. They end up bringing her up to the building. She's spazzing out until she sees the side of Tyler's face like, oh my god, look what the fuck happened. She puts some gauze on his face and all that. Then they watch all the other buildings just start blowing the fuck up. She's holding his hand as they watch the mayhem and carnage. Now, it's probably a whole lot else I didn't get into. It'll be hard to do here because honestly, it's like a psychological type of film. The whole thing is complete madness. It came out back in 1999 and it still to this day feels like complete madness. Alter egos, bipolarism. That doesn't even cover the bare spectrum to what Tyler had. It's a classic, and if you haven't seen it, check it out. Fight Club.